I done seen these streets eat the best of niggas and teach the rest of niggas. If God willing every time, I'm gonna blame my nigga. I remember
Yo, YouTube family, right back at it. Man, I know it's been like a month since I posted some content, man. I've been too busy. I've been like extremely busy trying to take off with this real estate stuff. Very, very pleased, happy with my progress out here, man. A little over a year out of prison now, and I'm making some moves, man. I'm moving and grooving, you know. Definitely can't complain. Getting in the loop with some powerful people, with some influential people, and working to make something happen. So yeah, that's the update on my life, man. Just letting everybody know my message for the day is like, all you guys that's locked up or just recently been released, we really got no excuses out here. Like, we're really literally living in the land of opportunity. I don't think that there's anywhere better in the world besides the capitalistic society of America that allows anyone with the proper will and fortitude and integrity to get out there and make something happen. You can do it. You know, you can do it as long as you educate yourself properly, present yourself properly, sell yourself properly. Man, I got complete strangers that don't know me from Adam fucking with my campaign, man, you know. So it's a beautiful thing. Before I get into today's video, into today's story, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That'll really help me out a lot. All right. Today I'm gonna talk about something that's gonna be very, very weird. It's gonna be very weird, and y'all not really gonna understand it, right? You're not gonna understand it. Like, you would have to have actually been in prison to understand it. But you know, I told y'all from the jump I was gonna share the good, the bad, and the ugly of the realities of prison life and what goes on behind the walls. And this is one of the major things that occurs in prison a lot. So in prison we call it jacking. We call it jacking, or B11s. You know what I mean? B11 is actually the code that they give you when they write you up. So police officers, you know, they write you up. It's kind of like a little citation, of like prison form of citation, again, a ticket pretty much. And they got different codes. Like, it's a code for fighting, it's a code for getting caught with a phone, it's a code for stabbing somebody. This code is B11, and B11 is when you get caught actually masturbating on a female officer, right? And what I mean by that is, a lot of guys get off by staring at an officer and jacking his wood at the same time. Now, don't get me wrong, as sick and psychosexual and predatory like that shit sounds, like, that's what's going on. Like, the way I see it is, I'd rather have a nigga do that than have a nigga fucking niggas and shit in prison. Like, it's a whole big thing that people think. They think prison, they just think niggas is just fucking niggas off the chain. Like, that's just something that happens. Like, in Georgia prison, it's really not like that. Like, you have certain prisons, certain facilities that got heavy homosexual activity. And I explained that in one of my videos, but that's not just no regular occurrence. But dudes jacking on these officers is, and the crazy thing about it is, I got involved in that activity. I ain't gonna cap, right? But it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to break down and do that shit, because for the longest time I couldn't understand it myself. Like, the first 2 years, I would hear about guys doing it, or I would see guys doing it, whatever, And I'd be like, how the hell y'all be jacking on these female, bro, when they fully clothed, like they got clothes on, and like what the fuck? And it took somebody to tell me like, nah, look, bro, you gotta understand, when a girl is eating, and eating is when the girl knows that you jacking. All right, now you got some females that they know that you jacking, and they might just let you jack. They might even play along with you. Like they might even role play with you a little bit. Like, all right, so you got 3 types of officers, female officers. You got the kind that eat, and eat is when she know you jacking, and she gonna look, she wanna see your wood, she wanna see what you're working with. All right, then you got the kind that they know you jacking, but they don't really like it, but they don't really care. So they're not really gonna look at you, you know what I mean? They not gonna play along with you. They just know you jacking, and they just like, okay, whatever, fuck it. And they just gonna let it ride. And then you got the third kind that just don't play that shit, period. And they finna scream on your ass. Screaming on you mean they finna call them folk. They finna call the officers. They gonna come down there and book your ass. They gonna come down there and lock your stupid ass up, right? So the dude was telling me like, look, bro, you don't understand, bro. If you get an officer that eat and she watching you jack, bro, that's a whole nother different type of jack, bro. Like that's a whole nother feeling, bro. It brings a whole nother element to the situation. So I was like, okay. So I remember my first time, man, I got turned out. I got turned out by this officer, man, named Miss Jet, right? So Miss Jet was this little white chick, man, a little chubby little white girl, right? And everybody was telling me how she eat, you know what I mean? Like she let you jack, right? So I used to be a night orderly, and a night orderly is like you have like 2 people or sometimes just one person that stays out at night while everybody else locked in their cells. You'll stay out at night and mop up the floors, sweep the floors, get the trash up, different things like that, right? For like an hour or 2 after everybody locked down. So it's late night one night, and Miss Jet is in a little officer booth. So normally the officers be like in a booth, like it's hard to explain, but it's like a room inside the cell, but it's like glass, you know what I mean? It's like walled off glass, right? And they'll sit in there and just observe the dorm and whatever. So I'm in the shower, mopping the shower, and the shower is right across from the officer booth, maybe 20, 30 feet away, maybe about 30 feet away, right? So I'm in the shower, and the shower is closed. It's like you know, one wall right here, one wall right there, right? And then if the officer booth, she looking dead at me, right? So it's like she just expected me to jack, right? So I ain't never did this before, so I'm like kind of nervous, right? Because I'm like, oh shit, right? So I go to mopping the floor and shit, and she looking at me like she's staring, like she waiting on me to whip it out. So shit, I whipped that motherfucker out, whoosh, and goddamn, I start riding on her, right? So like I'm nervous, right? But I'm doing it, right? But I'm like nervous at the same time, right? So goddamn, sure enough, she let me ride, right? And then from that moment on, once you get a taste of blood, goddamn, your ass become a real fucking menace with that shit. So like I started getting out of control with it. But the one thing that I didn't do, I would never do that sneak jacking. Like you got some dudes, they call it squirreling. They call it squirreling, right? When you squirrel a bitch, that means you want some peeking around the corner so that she don't catch you. You know, she don't know that you jacking. You in the shower, you poke a hole in the curtain. You know what I mean? You got one little hole you can peek out of it. No, that's some creepy ass. I mean, the whole activity is kind of creepy, but that's some real creepy ass shit when you got to squirrel a bitch. I never got into that, but all the bitches who I jacked on, like they was feeling me, and they was like, okay, let this nigga ride or whatever, right? So I started getting kind of out of hand with it. But I'm gonna tell you, the moment I had to stop doing that shit for good, right? So I went to this prison. I was at Johnson State, and it was this chick on the night shift. I remember her name was Miss Harris, right? So Miss Harris was a little black chick, right? And her ass was so fat. Nigga, I'm talking about her ass was fat, nigga. And some of them females in them officer uniforms, sometimes them uniform pants be so tight. And them females be knowing what they doing, man. You come to a male prison wearing these tight ass goddamn pants, knowing goddamn well your ass fat as hell, and expect these hard up, locked up niggas who ain't getting no pussy to not goddamn do nothing, try to do nothing freaky to your ass. So it's this little chick named Miss Harris. She used to work on the night shift. And me and her used to kick it from time to time. So at this particular prison, the officers didn't have a booth. They had like a table right there in the middle of the floor of the dorm. They had like a little table they would sit at. And so, you know, you could, a lot of times guys would pull up and, you know, converse with the officers, kick, you know, try to pop their shit, you know, try to work their mojo and get in with the female or whatever. Or sometimes they would just go and just talk to them, you know, just talking to them, just regular conversation. So me and the girl used to kick it, you know what I mean? We was pretty cool. But so at this time, I had this real crazy mindset with me where I didn't like to lock my own cell door. I had a thing like, bro, I'm not finna lock myself into the room. So every night when we go to lock down for the night, I would never lock my door. I would just pull my door up and I would let the officer come around and slam the door, right? So I remember one night, I do my thing. I go into the room, you know, it's lockdown time. I don't lock my door. I just close it up. So I go to sleep. So I wake up at like 2:30 in the morning. I had to use the restroom. So I get up, I go take a piss, you know what I mean? Because you know the urinal right there inside the cell with you. So I'm taking a piss and I noticed that my door was still open. Miss Harris didn't lock my door, right? So I'm like, oh shit, man, she didn't lock my door. So my door was unlocked all night. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I ain't think nothing of it. So the very next night, I go to sleep. The very next night, she come to work again at night. And I pull up on her and I tell her, I'm like, look, I said, hey man, I said, you know you ain't locked my door last night. And she was like, for real? I was like, hell yeah, I left my door unlocked. You never came by and pushed it closed. And she was like, okay, well it don't matter. Your ass ain't going nowhere, no way. And I was like, okay. I was like, well shit. I like, what if I pull up on your ass in the middle of the night? What you gonna do? She was like, shit, I don't know. So I'm like, okay. So anyway, we went to chopping it up about some other shit. So that night, I did the same thing, right? I left my door cracked. So sure enough, she didn't come and push the door. So I'm like, damn, I'm like, okay. So I waited till like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? I slide out the room. Now the officers, although they had this little spot, you know, this desk in the middle of the floor, they also had this little room. It was like a little room, you know what I mean, off in the cut where the officers would go after everybody had locked down. The officers would go in that room. It was like a bathroom in there. It was like another little desk in there, and they would go in there and talk on the phone, and you know, they would, you know, chill in there, go to sleep and shit, you know what I mean? So she was in that little room. So I slid out the room, right? I'm scared as fuck, right? Because I'm out the cell. Everybody else locked in their rooms, right? And I'm like, oh shit, nigga, these folks finna get me with a fucking escape charge or some shit, right? So our cell had, I mean, our dormitory had like a TV room. So it was a TV room, and it was like it was a room with a TV, and it had a big ass window, and that window was adjacent, I guess that's the word, like the officer little room was right there next to us. So you could see through that window and see the officers in that little room, chilling in that little room. So I go into the TV room, I slide in the TV room, right? So I see her at the desk talking on the phone. So I go up to the TV. The TV's always up high. So I go up to the TV and I reach up to the TV like I'm goddamn changing the channel on the TV or whatever. So she on the phone. So she see me, right? So she hang up the phone and she look at me and she like, what's up? So my lame ass, My lame man, I whip out on her. I whip out. I go to riding. I go to riding, right? So she look at me. So she got down, she lay back in the chair, you know what I mean? She watching me ride, you know what I mean? So I go ahead, I finish up, I done goddamn spit all over the floor. So goddamn, I'm like, hey, okay, boom. So I get done, I go back to my room. So tell me why Shawty ain't never talked to me no more after that day, bro. Like, she let me ride that night, but the way we used to kick it, prior to this, she ain't never talked to me no more. Alright. Now remind you, I'm telling you the story of why I had to stop jacking, right? So fast forward like 3 or 4 months later, I ain't talked to her none, right? 3-4 months later, I'm in a whole nother dorm, right? And I'm chopping it up with my little blood partner, right? I had a little blood homie named Murder, right? So me and Murder in the room chopping it up. So, you know, we get to talking about all the different little females at the prison that was fine and whatever. And we're like, yeah, you know, Miss so-and-so, so-and-so. Like, hell, yeah, I know that bitch, hell, that bitch fine in hell, da-da-da-da, whatever, da-da-da. So I asked him, I was like, shit, you know Miss Harris? So he was like, yeah, I know Miss Harris. So he telling me a story. He was like, man, Miss Harris used to fuck with my roommate. Just Murder talking. He was like, man, Miss Harris used to fuck with my roommate. She used to let him out the room in the middle of the night, and they would go into the little officer room, and they would be all cuddled up, hugged up. He'd be gripping her ass and shit, because he was like, he used to watch them out of his cell, out the window, and he used to see him kissing all up, kissing the bitch and all this shit, right? I don't think he ever fucked her, but goddamn, whatever. So I'm like, oh shit. So he was like, what's up? I was like, man, I was like, bro, you ain't gonna believe it, bro. And he was like, what's up? So I told him the story about the night I jacked on the bitch, right? So he was like, yeah, you fucked up, bro. He was like, you fucked up, bro. I was like, damn. He was like, man, she let you out the room because she wanted you to go into the officer room and kick it with her, nigga. He's like, yo lame ass goddamn wanting jack and shit on the bitch, nigga. She probably would let you fuck, nigga. You goddamn bullshitting. That's why she ain't talk to you no more after that, nigga. So I was like, damn, bro. I like, damn, I fucked up. He was like, yeah, you fucked up. So, long story short, that was the event that made me say, you know what? I can't jack on these hoes no more, cause that shit just one player. Like, that shit just one player, bro. Like, like you got some females that's on some freaky ass shit and they like that shit and they'll sit there and watch a nigga. Like I know bitches that'll sit there and take a water bottle and pretend like they giving head and shit to the water bottle and shit and letting a nigga jack. Like they'll role play with you and everything. But at the end of the day, I had to goddamn cut that shit out. And then, you know, on top of that, I had became, you know, a leader, you know, among the Muslims and whatever. So I'm supposed to uphold, you know, a righteous persona and things like that. So I couldn't, you know, I couldn't indulge in certain activities anyway. But yeah, man. But that's one of the realities of prison. Like, that's something that I don't expect nobody, you know, that ain't been to China ain't really understand that, man. But like I said, like, that's better than fucking a nigga, you feel me? But so I ain't mad at, you know, anybody that do that shit. But it is some mental health ass shit. Like, you gotta be a crazy ass, freaky ass motherfucker, like heavily sexually deprived ass motherfucker to even think about doing some shit like that. But that's one of the, you know, that's one of the things, man. More shit on the way. Y'all stay tuned. You know what I mean? Y'all keep on liking the videos, subscribe to the channel, man, share the videos, man. All you guys that's fresh out, man, y'all stay on your grind. Don't go back to that same old illegal criminal activity stuff, man. And you don't gotta be limited to just having no 9-to-5 job, man. Get out there and make something happen, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a living testament to the possibilities. And there's guys that I know that I was locked up with that's doing major things too. I'm gonna start interviewing people real shortly. You know, and I'm gonna travel around, you know, all around the country and just have interviews with guys that did